Hey guys, good morning. I hope you're having a great day. Well, the most wonderful day of the year has finally arrived and it's time to decorate the dried flower Christmas tree. I've showed you this process now at least once, I think twice in a tour, but I've been doing this for a really long time and it's just a great way to celebrate the growing season and to really be thankful for all the garden has given to us. And for many years I thought that this was just an idea that kind of popped randomly into my head. It started out with just putting hydrangeas into our Christmas tree, and then it kind of evolved to a tree all on its own. But just the other day I was writing an article that's going to come out I think Tuesday about creative ways to gift amaryllis, and whenever I'm writing an article for someone and I need ideas, I always kind of think of things that my grandma used to do, and I also look in this old photograph box that I have. And I happened to be looking specifically for things from the holiday season, and I came upon something which I think is incredibly special. And so here it is. I don't have any memory really of my grandma ever doing a dried flower Christmas tree, but lo and behold, I found this picture. This is a picture of her living room on kind of a dresser that she had, and here we have a dried flower Christmas tree. I can't believe it after all these years of thinking that this was just something that I had randomly thought of. I have a feeling that I remember this tree somewhere deep down inside and that this tree is really for her. And it looks like this picture is from 1990, so probably the Christmas of 1989. And I just can't believe how special it was to find this photograph. Here's an older picture of her one Christmas down in the basement. I found what I was looking for my article, a little "Thank you, Grandma, and remembering you." This is going to appear in the article on the amaryllis. Creative ways to gift amaryllis is gifting them with house plants. So this is from her. There's no date on this, but basically this whole box is from the early 90s. And here's the picture of her that appeared in a local newspaper where she was teaching about holiday arranging. So just really special. So I like to place the tree in a different location each year, and this year I'm going to put it here in the dining room over by my gardening books. So all we really need to do is I need to clear off the table. I have some amaryllis growing here, and we need to bring in all the dried flowers. I think we'll make a cup of coffee, we'll put on some Christmas music, maybe I'll go downstairs, get my Doris Day Christmas album, and then we'll just get to decorating. These amaryllis are really close to blooming. These ones are Cape Horn. Let me show you some other ones that are starting to open. And I have this magnum here in bloom. All my paper whites have been really slow this year. It's kind of funny, I planted everything basically on the same day, and a lot of the amaryllis are way ahead of all my paper whites. This one here I'm so excited about. It looked amazing in the pictures. Sorry about the lighting, but this one's called Magical Touch. It looks to be almost a pinky red, and it does have a white margin around the outside in the pictures on the website. So I'm really excited to see these bloom. And just lots more amaryllis and paper whites everywhere you look. I tell you, I've recently become really obsessed with amaryllis after reading this book called just purely Amaryllis by Star Okenga. I'm probably saying her name wrong. It's a book that's out of print right now, but you might want to check it out from the library. It's a really wonderful book. It's really well written, really just right to the point, simple, but also tells the story of how she grew 350 different amaryllis varieties all over the course of one winter. It's just really inspiring and fun, and just nice to have a book that's solely dedicated to amaryllis that doesn't go too far into the science realm to the point where it gets confusing, but she also, she goes into propagation and hybridizing and everything in a way that's really easy to understand. So look for that at your local library if you love amaryllis as much as I do. So here's all the dried flowers. I do have some in the basement from other years, but when I'm doing the tree, I try to do just dried flowers from that particular season. So it's really a tree that's true to that particular year. So let me get all this stuff down and we'll get decorating. So I think I might have mentioned that I was going to do 2 dried flower Christmas trees this year. I don't think I'm going to do that. We just have a lot going on this year in terms of family, and I think one will be just fine and still bring me that joy and celebration of the season. Also, the celosia that I had dried that I was going to use for cardinals, that was kind of a really deep red outside, has decided to dry really a very hot pinky purple. So if you did grow any celosia this year that was red outside and when you dried it, it was still red, could you let me know what that variety is? So whether or not we'll use these kind of hot pinks on the tree, I'm not really sure. We'll just play around and have fun. Well, now that I have this all laid out, I think actually what I'm gonna do is use everything except maybe the green Annabelle hydrangea. I think it might just be a little too overpowering for the whole tree. But you know what, like I said before, this is really just about a celebration of the growing season. And so I think I'm just gonna go ahead and use it all and just not worry about the whole cardinal tree. Sometimes things work out, sometimes they don't. You just gotta roll with the punches, right? And we have plenty to fill this tree up with. So let me give you a closer look at how all this stuff looks when it's dried. So I can certainly utilize those Annabelle hydrangeas for something else. But I have all kinds of dried dahlias here. Everything I just air dried. I have the Great Silence. This one is Diva. The Breakout's dried in kind of an interesting fashion, but I kind of like it, so I'm gonna go ahead and use those. Lavender. Of course, we have all of this Mexican bush sage, and I think the tree is really gonna be a Mexican bush sage tree this year. I have a lot of Love and a Mist pods, which I absolutely love. Different kinds of alliums everywhere. Over here, this is probably a purple sensation. I didn't label anything. Different kinds of celosias here. A little bit of sea holly. Only some straw flowers this year. I did grow straw flowers. I know that's been a question. I just ended up selling them all, and so I definitely need to grow more next year. I had tried growing some other flowers kind of in the place of straw flower this year. I grew paper daisy and craspedia, and those were my biggest fails of the year. The paper daisy, something kept coming and eating just the flower. Just as it would start to bloom, it would bud up and start to open. The next morning I would go out and the flower itself was gone. And then the craspedia just never flowered. I have no idea what I did wrong. But next year I think I'm gonna do just lots more straw flower and not worry about those other kind of dried flowers that I was kind of using as replacements for the straw flower. Then some more celosia under here. This one was the Dragon's Breath, and you can see how it is kind of a purpley pink. Same there with the New Look. More sage, a little bit of eucalyptus. Only grew a little bit of eucalyptus this year. Have the hydrangea here. Of course, the Jewels of Opar. Then in this box we have the Starflower, which I'm really excited about because I think this looks just like Christmas balls. I have some Orlea pods right here. Only a small amount of delphinium, and I really missed the mark on drying larkspur this year. Once again, I just ended up selling it all and I didn't save any for us. I have some in the basement, but it's from another year, so I just want to stick with what I grew this year. I also went ahead and picked some Scabiosa pods after they dropped their petals. I think that'll be a nice, interesting texture, just something different. And yeah, guys, I think that's pretty much it. There might be a few other things buried in here, but let's make a cup of coffee, get the Doris Day Christmas album going, and enjoy some time together. Where's your big bone, Grace? Go get your big bone. Go get it. Do you want to show everybody your big bone? She's camera shy. So I hope you're having a wonderful start to the holiday season. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. It was kind of a quiet Thanksgiving here, but things are definitely going to be picking up now that the month of December is rapidly approaching. So let me know if you're doing anything special with dried flowers this year. I don't think I ever told you guys this, but growing up, my grandma had a whole room dedicated just to dried flowers. I guess it was one of my aunts or uncle's bedrooms at one point, but obviously it had been converted. There was no bed in there anymore by the time, I was born. And there was kind of all these shelves where she would keep all her gardening and judging books. And there was like these drawers down below, and you would pull out a drawer, one would be full of buttons, and you would pull out another drawer, one would be full of pearls, then snips, then rubber bands, then floral tape, then, different waxes, and just like some special floral treasure, as you opened each and every drawer. And then on the other side, which actually faced the window, surprisingly, she had her dried flowers. It's just like a plethora of dried flowers. I mean, I can't tell you how much fun it was to go in that room. And I guess the funny thing is, now that I'm older, thinking back, I thought that was really normal to have a bedroom dedicated to dried flowers. And she even had a bedroom that I wouldn't say it was dedicated to amaryllis, but it was where she would prep all of the amaryllis that she would either give away, or whether she was doing, some kind of a talk on amaryllis. And that happened in the bedroom that I would sleep in. So I would often be sleeping amongst 50 amaryllis bulbs, in different stages of growth. Just so much fun. Well guys, I thought I'd take a brief pause here. Number one, because I have all kind of the neutral colors on the tree already. And also, I'm almost inclined to stop because I really like the way that this neutral tree is looking, but I still have so many flowers left. So you can see I haven't even touched the more colorful flowers yet. But I don't know, this is really just kind of speaking to me this year, kind of this natural color palette. I've done a natural color palette in the past, but that year I had a lot of Dusty Miller, so it really looked like it was snowing on the tree. This is almost giving me more of kind of like a woodland feel, and I really like that. I especially love how the alliums look. I think those are really beautiful. I think also that growing starflower was totally worth it because it's so fun on the Christmas tree. Let me add the purple, and then we'll see where we're at and what we want to do. So it looks like we're going to have a ton of dried flowers left over. So I think what I'll do this year is I'll do some dried flower garland down the staircase there, maybe once it gets a little closer to Christmas. These trees always look very Victorian to me. I guess I should do some research and see if they did dried flower Christmas trees in the Victorian era. If you know the answer to that, let me know. But this just brings me a lot of happiness and a lot of great memories of the growing season. I can't remember who I learned this from. I think Ariella Cesar, but I noticed that I did this especially early on when I would design something, whether it be a dried flower Christmas tree or a floral arrangement. It was to avoid the look of eyes in a floral display, which I noticed I was always doing early on. But basically, when you put flowers like this, it basically creates this strange look where you feel like the piece of art is looking at you. And so she mentioned to always be careful to not allow that to happen. That was something that really helped me out. I'm just pushing all of these branches right into the tree. I'm not securing them with any kind of floral wire or anything. If you do this on a real Christmas tree instead of an artificial one, you might need to use some floral wire. But here the branches just kind of hold everything in place for me. Gracie is completely unamused. She's still wondering why we're not going to the PARK, which I can't say because she definitely knows that word. Well, I could keep going and filling the tree with more flowers, but I think I'm going to stop here, so let's take a look. So hopefully you can see it here with the indoor lighting. Maybe if I get a little bit closer, you can see it better. So we're definitely very heavy on the purple this year and the pinks. I didn't have any feverfew this year. I guess I just completely forgot to dry that. I really love the dried dahlias, the nice big texture they add. Those are the breakout dahlias. I absolutely love the Mexican bush sage. I think we could call this the year of the Mexican bush sage because there's so much of it on the tree. And actually, if you just hold on one second here, I still have a ton more left. So maybe I'll go ahead and do some garland on the staircase like I mentioned. Well, thanks so much for joining me for another year of decorating the dried flower Christmas tree. It's always just so much fun to put this together and see how it turns out. Every year is different. Some years are vastly different than other years. I think this is somewhat similar to last year, but I didn't have any yarrow, no feverfew. I have some larkspur, but I didn't use it, and a lot of Mexican bush sage this year. And in a way, I almost thought of stopping after I put on all of my green, brown, and that was it. After I put on all of my green and brown elements, I almost thought of stopping. I really liked the completely natural look of just, the starflower, the eucalyptus, the poppies, the orlea pods, the alliums. I really found myself liking that. And I think if I didn't view this tree as a celebration of the entire growing season, I probably would have stopped there. But the whole reason why I started this tradition was just to be really thankful for everything that I was able to grow that year. And this is really what remains. This is what didn't sell, and this is what I saved just for us. But of course this year it was just extra special upon finding that photograph. And I guess the whole thing comes full circle. I started this dried flower Christmas tree to celebrate everything that I've been able to grow here. And now to see that my grandma did the same thing back in 1990, 1989, it's just a magical day, I guess you could say. Well, I want to wish you guys a great day out in your gardens, indoor gardening, whatever you're getting up to, whatever zone you're in, and I'll see you next time. Bye.